Hey everybody, this is Jordan from All Us Geeks. Released this week was Pathfinder Adventure Card Game, Wrath of the Righteous. And so I'm going to do a little quick unboxing video and show you some of the new stuff coming in the box. Enjoy! Alright, so I'm not going to do a deep dive into the game here, I'm just going to give you some of the highlights. This is kind of the high-level version of Pathfinder. Many of the mechanics are the same, but there's quite a few new mechanics. First of all, the game comes with its first D20. The D20 is a die you can use for certain checks. It's a mythic die, and you get mythic dice by getting a mythic adventure path. A mythic path at the end of the first adventure path. I'll get to that in a minute. So, go over some of the characters. Some of the characters are returning. I got Harsk, the Dwarf Ranger, popular in my group for some reason. Kira, everybody's favorite cleric, she's back. Sela, Paladin, making a comeback. And Sione, everybody's favorite sorcerer. Sorcerer. As with previous versions of the game, come with their marker card, a bit of fluff, and their character card. All the standard stuff there. And then they also come with alternate builds for when you, I'm assuming it's going to be the same as the previous games. When you complete a certain adventure path, you can start building on the alternate builds. Now there are also some new characters. Everything I'm showing you is from the core box, and also the character expansion to take it up to 5 to 6 players. So some of the new characters. Russell Crowe, no, just Crowe, the Blood Rager. He's one of the cool little advanced class guide. No, Advanced Player's Guide. Either the APG or the ACG characters from the paper and pencil game. Crow the Blood Ranger. Shardra, a shaman, depending on how you want to pronounce that. Adowin, the hunter. Got a nice little pet there and everything. Imrika. This is a cool piece of art. This is, as with the, she's also an Inquisitor. Again, all this stuff is art pulled right out of the reference books for the paper and pencil game. So the art is top notch because I really love the art in their manuals. And this is one of my favorite pieces of art. I've almost played an Inquisitor twice now. I keep getting pulled away by other new shinies, but I keep wanting to go back just to essentially play that character. Get either the pewter figure or the pre-painted plastic, just to have that, because that is an excellent piece of art and a cool looking character. Then there's Alain the Cavalier. Haven't played the Cavalier yet. Don't really want to, but it's an interesting piece of art. He's got like everything on him, and that they kind of cut off the line of his image to make room for the text, but you can see the spear, the lance, the sword, the flail, so he's got everything on him. Enora, the Arcanist. And then finally, the one I was looking forward to most for this box is Balazar, the Summoner. And I was looking forward to him because I'm playing a summoner as well in one adventure, and I really like its mechanics, and I wanted to see how they adapt these mechanics, or I should say adapt those mechanics to this game. And I really like it. In the paper and pencil game, he's not at all an offensive-minded caster. His stuff is to support the creatures he summons or to summon creatures. And they do that well. It seems like a penalty, unless you know the class it was built on. after you play a spell that has the attack trait on it, banish it. So maybe you find a force missile, but you're only going to get to use it once. You may discard a spell to draw a random monster from the box. Now this is really cool, because this is what the summoner does. At each level, the summoner gets monster summoning type spell-like ability, I should say. So this is a good way of doing that. It's a discard, so if you heal, you're going to be able to maybe discard it again, but then you grab a monster from the box. It's random, but this is what the summoner does. He summons monsters. And then, when you defeat a monster and would banish it, you may add it to your hand instead. So you can discard a spell to get a monster, or you can defeat a monster and stock up on monsters. And the reason you want to do this is, when you banish a monster from your hand, you may banish a monster from your hand to draw a card, and then there's checks on it to do more things. Add D4 to any check, or to check for a weapon acquire or an item. And that's kind of how the summoner works. He's not there to throw fireballs and magic missiles at people. He sends his Eidolon in. And that brings me to one of the new mechanics, which is Cohorts. Some of these characters have, for instance, Balazar. You'll see on the back of his card list, it lists Cohort Padrig. Not every character has a cohort listed, but those who do start with it. So Balazar starts with Padrig. And Padrig is his Eidolon. In the paper and pencil game, the summoner has an Eidolon, and he can craft it however he likes, to be serpentine, to be humanoid, to be a bird, serpentine bird in this case. And the cohorts let you do different things. I'm not going to cover all of them. I'm just going to give you Padrig here because I was working with Balazar. Display this card. While displayed, when you attempt a strength check and do not play a weapon, you may put this card on top of your deck to add your arcane skill plus the scenario's adventure deck number to that check. So that's not bad. I mean, his arcane skill is only a D10, but he's a little bit more balanced. He doesn't have any D4s. He's got D10s, a bunch of D6s, and a D8. So his arcane plus the adventure path number. You may banish any number of monsters. For each monster banished, add 1d4 to the check. Or 1d6 if you have a roll card, if you're encountering a monster, blah, 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 blah. So he defeats monsters, he keeps the monsters, and then he uses the monsters in his fights against the next monsters. It's not quite exactly the way it works, but it is kind of using his summon monster every time, along with his Eidolon. So that's a really cool embracing of the paper and pencil mechanics. Now, some of the characters have Eidolons, and some of the scenarios will tell you to add cohorts. I should say cohorts. Some of the characters have cohorts printed on their cards, and they will start the game with those. And some of the scenarios will also have cohorts listed. And if you don't have a cohort already at the start of the game, you can pick one from those listed. So then there's things like Cecilia the Uprooter, the Elf Ranger, Sir Illivan, the Half-Elf Cavalier. And if it's owned by a specific character already, it also says that on the card too. Vinst. He looks kind of cool. Satyr Druid. Donahan belongs to Alain. And then from the character expansion were Kolo, owned by Shardra I should say, and Laren, owned by Adowin. So not every character starts with a cohort, but there is the possibility to maybe get everybody a cohort depending on what the scenario rules are. So I mentioned before the Mythic die, and I'll talk about that now. At the first adventure is the World Wound, I should say. And at the end of the World Wound incursion, according to the rules, everybody gets to choose a Mythic Path. Comes with 6 Mythic Paths. There's 2 copies of each, but you're not limited. If the whole party wants to use the same one, you can. But these are upgrades to your character. Each gives you a little piece of fluff on one side and its rules on the other. So for example, the Mythic Trickster. Add your number of mythic charges to your dexterity or intelligence check, then you may expend 1 or more charges. If you do so, after you assemble your dice, for each charge expended, replace one of the highest non-D20 dice with a D20. So that's how you're getting the D20 in. With your Mythic Path and expending charges, you swap out dice for the 20. After the encounter, you may move, ignoring any movement restrictions. So with the Mythic Trickster, after you pop your Mythic powers, you can move again too. Or you can expend 5 Mythic charges to evade a Bane, ignoring any effects that prevent you from evading. So anything that might say can't be evaded, this lets you do it if you expend all your 5 charges, I should say. Now you get the charges, and it comes with a token sheet for all the charges. Once you select your Mythic Path, at the start of the adventure, at the start of the scenario, you get 1 plus the adventure path. So first time you do it, you're going to get 2 charges. And you'll get to each of the paths allows you to do something to manipulate dice. It's all swapping out and ignoring or bypassing things or closing. So it's all useful stuff. It doesn't look at all like it's going to be situational. It looks like something that you'll be able to use on a fairly regular basis. So it's not just a fluff upgrade, these Mystic Paths. It's actually a useful upgrade, I think. I'm looking forward to seeing these in play. The third, and I think maybe most interesting mechanic to me, just because it involves gear, is the Corrupted. I don't know if you can see that. The Corrupted keyword. They give you a list of the boons that have the Corrupted keyword, and they have a chance to be redeemed. There will be chances in the game that let you redeem a piece of a boon, and then it's no longer corrupted. This is important because all the corrupted cards have some kind of penalty. For instance, the Corroded Helm. If this card has the corrupted trait, bury a random card from your discard pile, or you may not play this card. So this is armor, and you recharge it to reduce the combat damage dealt to you by 2. You may play another armor on this check. If proficient with heavy armors, you may reveal this card instead of recharging it. So it's actually a fairly nice helm, as you can stack an armor with it. But you have to bury a random card from your discard pile. Now you're not banishing it; you're going to get it back. But if you get healed and it was your big weapon or something that you had to throw away for damage, that's going to be a bit of a chapping until the end of the game. So the corrupted stuff is going to have a little bit of a penalty to use it, some kind of punishment, until it's redeemed. The other handy thing on the flip side of the redemption card is the Servitor Demon table. And this is pretty straightforward. When a card tells you to summon and counter the adventure's Servitor Demon, use this table to determine the henchman to summon. So the Servitor Demon is going to be one of the henchmen from the game, from that scenario. I assume it's going to be tied to the scenario because it's... but I haven't looked that far to see if that's the case. But it tells you if you're into the World Wound, it's a Demonling, all the way up to Adventure 6, City of Locusts, it's the Ophidian Demon. Tells you what each of the henchmen to summon is whenever you would be told to summon a servitor. Or, excuse me, when you were told to encounter the servitor. So it's a handy little reference chart, kind of like tracking your boats and Skull and Shackles and your loot and whatnot. So it's handy, and those are the 3 main changes Corruption, the Mythic Paths and the way to get the dice, and Cohorts. I don't know. I'm probably not going to play, but I just think it's cool that your cohort is a horse. It's really thematic. As with all the previous games, you only get one set of dice, which I'll throw away. You only get one set of dice, but it's a full set this time, like I said, because you get the D20. And everything else remains pretty much the same. In the box, you're going to get AP1, and you're going to get everything you need for up to a 4-player game. And like I said, this also includes the character expansion, so you're going to be able to go up to 6. You'll have a variety of characters right off the bat. And everything else is the same. It shows you your adventure path with everything you need to do in the adventure path. And then into the world wound, you know, the name gives you all the scenarios you need to defeat. And then on the scenario list, it gives you your henchmen and your villains and all the setup information. So all the standard stuff that you're used to. There's not going to be a big learning curve here if you've played one of the other games. And even if you haven't, it's still a sufficiently simple game that you can pick it up. It's setup intensive, just like Legendary. Not that intensive, but once you've got a round or two through and you've seen everything once or twice, it's just like the other games. It's rinse and repeat. It's just decision making based on what's in your hand. The artwork, as usual, is top notch. I really like everything that I've seen so far. Whether it's the spells, the monsters, the blessings, everything is really, really nice. And it's got some cool villains in here. I was looking at them, and it's Wrath of the Righteous. It's demon themed, so there's a lot of undead, there's a lot of demon, there's a lot of outsider keywords in here. And the one that's intriguing me is Coramzadeh. Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce that per Paizo. I'm going to go with that until I hear somebody from Paizo tell me differently. Kador. He's intriguing because he's a basic box villain, but I haven't seen where he comes into play yet. Check to defeat. Combat 50. Then, combat 50. So I don't know if he's supposed to hang around until the end of AP6 and maybe get a group beat up going on him or whatnot, but I'm intrigued to see how he comes into play. I'll show you that card again, because that's a kick-ass piece of artwork. I really like that. And then there's Karsos, who I also really like. Undead Minotaur. What can go wrong? And then there's some other stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other villains in here, and their artwork doesn't appeal to me as much, so I'm not going to bother showing those to you. But yeah, so some good villains, some cool monsters, lots of variety in characters, and then some cool new mechanics. I'm looking forward to seeing everything in play. I can't wait to finish up Skull and Shackles. My group only started that recently, so we've got quite a way to go. But I can't wait to finish Skull and Shackles so we can move right into this, because I much prefer the demonic theme to the pirate theme, though I'm having a kick-ass time with Skull and Shackles. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this to the table once we finish that. So there you go, a quick and dirty look at the Pathfinder Adventure Card Game, Wrath of the Righteous. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you later. Mike, if you could close a location, we might win every now and then.